Alright, so yellow belt, we're going to talk through the jab, slip, cross. So I'll show you the technique first. So nice and slow first, and then I'll speed it up for you. Okay, and a little bit faster. Cool, so all I'm doing here, guys, jab, we're very aware about how to throw our jab straight down the line. So keep that elbow in nice and tight, step that foot forwards on the first punch. So I throw my jab, I turn my hand's nice and strong here. Now I'm slipping, so I'm slipping a punch coming towards me. For both in left stance, I'm slipping a jab coming towards my head. So I'm slipping now, I bring this hand back, I turn my shoulder over my chin ever so slightly, just so that leaves room for a punch to go past my head. So I'm jabbing, I'm slipping the punch, so I'm turning that shoulder across to my chin, so that's protecting my chin on this side. This hand's still up here as a safety precaution, but I only need to move my head across this much. So literally the size of somebody's fist. So it's that jab, turn the shoulder, get that head out of the way, and this loads up my cross now. So I pivot off the back foot, I rotate around, and that's where my cross comes forwards. I'll just give you a side profile view of this. So it's jab, slip, turn. So just as that punch slips over the top of my shoulder, boom, I pivot back and I throw that cross. So one more time. Boom, slip, cross. Alright, so moving on to the second technique, which is cross hook, cross roll. It's a really basic technique, but it's one that flows nicely from side to side. So it's all about weight transference when we throw these shots. So I'll just show you 2 times in sort of a low, medium speed, and then I'll speed it up for you. So it's cross, hook, cross, roll, cross, hook, cross, roll. A little bit full speed now. Beautiful. So, all we're going to do here, when I throw my cross, I must pivot and drive the weight to my front foot. So it's probably about 70-30 now on distribution of weight. So 70% on my front foot, 30% on my back. And this loads up my shot for my hook. So as I rotate my shoulders back around, these are all punches we've thrown before, but it's throwing them together. So I slingshot my shoulder back from my right, which pulls forwards my hook. And I turn that hook over at the end and pivot. Exactly the same thing now when I throw back to the cross. I slingshot this arm back and cross. And now as I pull this hand in here, this is where I drop my weight onto my front leg and roll underneath. So I'm bending my knees and I'm making a U pattern with my nose. Imagine you've got like a little laser on the end of your nose, so you're making a little U pattern underneath. So a little U, drop, and then I pivot back up. Now my weight distribution is about 50-50 again. So one more time. Cross, catapult this shoulder back. Hook, catapult this shoulder back. Cross, weight transference is now mostly on the front, so 70-30 on the front. As I pull this hand back around, I bend my knees, drop underneath, and pull my head up again, so I'm looking in a straight line. When I make this bob, or this roll, some people call it a bob and weave, we call it a roll in our syllabus, whatever takes your fancy. I'm bending my knees, I'm tucking my chin in, and I'm rolling my head underneath in a U pattern. And I only need to really drop underneath the size of somebody's fist. So common mistakes with this one, a lot of people end up dropping too low, or not dropping enough and just swinging their head underneath. So you just need to get that right balance. And I'll just show you from the side, guys. So it's cross, hook, cross, drop, weight transference is on the front, little U pattern, and drop back up. Go. Hi guys, this is our third hand technique on the yellow belt. So this one actually works on quite well from the last technique or the last video that you just watched, and it's our jab, uppercut, hook, roll. So it's all about, again, weight transference. So I'll show you twice, sort of a medium speed, and then I'll speed it up for the last one. So it's jab, uppercut, hook, roll to the left. One more time. Jab, uppercut, hook, roll to the left. A little bit faster now. Cool. So I'll slow this down and break this down for you. When I throw my jab, just extend that out, nice and easy. Now when I throw my uppercut, I'm going to bring this hand back in. I'm going to transfer my weight to the back foot ever so slightly. So I've got that compression in my knees to unload that weight to throw my uppercut. So you'll see when I throw my uppercut, I'm not keeping it at 90 degrees here. It's ever so slightly out. And that's because I'm throwing a long jab. As I throw my uppercut here, if I was to keep it in at 90 degrees, I'd miss that chin of my opponent. So I want to keep it ever so slightly out, and I'm still hitting with those two large knuckles. Now when I pivot across for the hook, that weight has been transferred onto my front. So jab, I will transfer the weight back for the uppercut. Weight's now on the front foot. So as I pull this hand back here, same thing. I catapult my shoulder just like we did in the last technique for the hook. Now I'm in a good position to roll underneath. So after I finish this hook, I pull my hand back in, I drop my weight onto this back foot, so I tuck my head under, roll, and I land back in a straight line again. So I'll just show you a side profile of that. So jab, uppercut, hook, roll. One more time. Jab, uppercut, hook, roll. Beautiful. Cool, so we've done all the hand techniques for that grade, so now we're moving on to the leg techniques. So these are all switch kicks. And all that means is, instead of me just throwing that weight off my front leg where I can't get as much power, I'm actually switching my leg just so I can build up a little bit more momentum, and then I'm catapulting my hips forwards to throw these kicks. So they're same mechanics for the front and round kick, guys. But we're just going to go through the front kick now. So what I'm going to do, stand into my stance. So nice and easy. We all know how to throw a front kick off our back leg, where we chamber and then we extend our leg out in front. This will be exactly the same mechanics, but I'm just going to switch my hips. So I'm not doing this massive pattern of switching where I'm literally switching my stance from here to here, because it's far too slow to do. I think a lot of people get stuck up on that. So what I'm doing is it's almost like a half switch. So I'm switching my feet, and then I'm bringing my hip forwards, then my chamber, and then I'm extending my foot out in front for my front kick. Then it lands out in front. That's really the basics of it. So it's the switch, chamber up, extend out in front. So one more time, I switch. See, I'm not coming all the way back into my stance. It's sort of just about 3/4 of the movement through, and then knee up, chamber forwards, extend the front kick out, and then land in front. So a little bit quicker. Just from the side, switch those feet. When I go here, half switch, chamber up, extend forwards. So it's just a way of getting more power into your front kick. So if you're asked on the grading day, why do you switch? Just say, I'm adding power to my kicks. Cool, moving on to technique number 5 now. So still a switch kick, and it's a switch round kick. So the mechanics are very, very, very similar to when I throw my switch front kick, apart from this time, because it's round, I'm just turning my hips over. So whenever I think about doing a front kick, hips are forwards, that's where I'm front on. If I think about doing a round kick, My hips are ever slightly to the side because I'm coming to the round of my object, okay? So it is what it says in the name. So when I throw the switch this time, exactly the same thing. I half switch, so I'm not jumping into my full stance. So I do this half switch. This time, as I bring this chamber up, it's coming into a round kick chamber. So my knee is pointing towards my target, but my toes are pointed. My hips are not facing towards my target like a front kick is. So here, I'm going to come up onto the ball of my foot, and I'm rotating myself round, and then throwing my round kick. And it will land in front. So one more time, I'm going to switch, that chamber comes up, point my toes, I'm rotating around, rotating, kick, and then it lands in front. So a little bit faster now, I'll do that rotation, switch, round kick, and land. So that half switch, one more time, half switch, rotate, hips come over, rotate, kick, and land in front. Nice and fast now. Cool, and from the side. Try and keep those hands up in front of you as well. A lot of people like to bring their hand down out of the way. Just to keep it nice and pretty, keep your hands up in front of your face. One more time, a little bit faster. Switch, kick, and land. Okay, so now we're moving on to the last technique, which is your 6th technique of your yellow belt. Remember, you'll also get asked to do a random technique from any of those other grades, so you need to be well prepared for all of those going forwards. So hopefully now, we'll be used to throwing a side kick of our back leg from our 1st grade, and we would have gone through this several times in class or at home by yourself. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to change the stance up for you a little bit. So I'm going to go into my right stance because we have to perform these in left and right all the time. So sometimes it's good for me to show you on camera if I'm doing this on right stance or left, just a different side or different profile for you. So what I'm going to go is I'm going to go into my right stance this time. Now, side kick is because I'm side on, okay? I'm not front on. So when I throw the kick, I actually turn onto my side. So as I step forwards, I turn onto my side to throw the kick. So I'll just show you twice, sort of a medium speed, and then I'll speed it up for you. So step, hip up, extend out, and then back down in front. So one more at that speed. Step out, hip up, extend out in front of you. A little bit quicker this time. So let me try and break this down for you guys. Side kick's probably one of the hardest kicks to throw because you need a lot of flexibility in your hips. So if you're not very flexible in your hips or strong in your hips, there's lots of techniques that we can work on for those. And come and ask your instructor as well. They can help you balance out your kicking game. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to step forwards on this foot off my front leg, and I'm going to turn my shoulder to the side. So now we're in the side kick position. So this is more like a point fighting stance, but this is my side kick position here. I bring this chamber up, and I'm bringing it back towards my chest. My foot, you'll notice, is almost to the side. So I'm doing this inversion with my foot. I'm turning my foot towards the inside of my body. And that's because I want to kick with the edge of my foot, or as a martial artist we call the knife edge. So as I bring this chamber up, my foot is pointed down towards the floor. And if you're not used to doing that, just tap your foot on the side, and that can remind you that's the foot position you need to be in to throw your side kick. So as I'm now turned onto my side, my hands are up. I've brought my chamber up, that's the most important thing. So I'm transferring my weight ever so slightly to the back. I bring my chamber up, my knee comes towards me. Because this kick comes from the hip and not the chamber, I want to make sure that my chamber's back towards me and not in front. It's the hip that does the extension. So my knife edge is pointing down towards the floor. So as I extend my leg out, the knife edge is looking at the target. So one more time, step up to the side, chamber up, extend in, extend out. Cool, and I'll just show you from the side. side view this time. So in my basic kickboxing stance here, and this is because I can travel forwards, I can punch, but it also looks nice and pretty as well. So we're all facing in the same direction and in the same stance when we're doing our gradings. So when I step this time, I step to the side, chamber comes up, I extend in and I extend out. The problems you're going to face if you're in this position when you're trying to throw your side kick is it's a very, very large rotation to go from here all the way around to here, and then you try and extend out, and it will knock you off your balance as well, as you've just seen. So here, step to your side, chamber up, extend, and back down. A little bit faster from that side profile. Cool. There you go, you've completed your yellow belt. Make sure you go back through all of the other techniques, guys. Stop the video, cut back on things, see where you can pick up any details that you're missing, and also come back and ask your instructor as well if there's something that you can work on. There's lots of tips and tricks that we can help you with.